With the Pokemon alt arts going to the moon, we're going to take a trip down memory lane and look at the Sun and Moon era and see what happened in 2023 with the alt art boom and where it is now. Yeah, history might repeat itself. Let's go and check it out. Alright guys, so today we'll be taking a look at the Sun and Moon era at the alt arts and see where they are. Not just the alt arts, but we're also going to be looking at the Waifu cards because they also had a big boom in 2023 where we saw a lot of sealed product and a lot of single cards go absolutely crazy. I mean, they were doing the same boom as we've seen with the Sword and Shield this year in 2024. One thing I have been saying recently is if you are looking at picking some of these alt arts from Sword and Shield, be careful because they might follow the trend that happened with Sun and Moon and they may fall. Now, they might not fall to less than they were a year ago, but they might fall from the highs that they're at now. You always got to be really careful, especially when it comes to sealed cards compared to sealed product. And we're going to see what's been going on with the alt arts and see if history is going to repeat itself. First off, we're looking at Cosmic Eclipse and we're looking at the first alt art today, and that is the Arceus and Dialga Palkia GX. Now, Cosmic Eclipse is an incredible set. It's got some beautiful cards in it. Now, we're going to be looking at the alt arts, and we're also going to be looking at the Waifu cards and see what happened over the past year, the past 12 months, to really get an idea of what happened, right? Because in 2023, we saw the big boom. We did. There was a big Sun and Moon boom last year. And, you know, this year we're getting a big Sword and Shield boom. Let's just see how things have gone. So, the Arceus is $162. It was $168 3 months ago, so it's only really dropped like $6. That's actually not that bad, right? Let's be fair. That's not actually that bad. Over the past year, however, it did rise. We don't really know where it kind of started off from, but June 2023 last year, it went to as high as $224. Let's say you bought this at the high, or near the high. Let's say you bought it at $200, right? And it still went up. You know, you've lost anywhere between $40 to $60 in value already, and it's still falling. So this card could go below 150. I mean, will it drop to 100? Probably not. Who knows? But it's falling. Right, so that's one card. This is one example of the fall of the alt arts from the Sun and Moon era. Big boom, and things are starting to go back down. Booster boxes, however, are still holding. You know, this is what I'm saying with sealed product to single cards. Single cards are quite volatile, whereas sealed product does tend to hold quite well. So yeah, look, we're looking at this card going down $60 over the past year, basically. Then we look at the full arts, or the Waifu cards as they were called, from the Sun and Moon era. Again, along with the alt arts, had a big boom. Rosa from Cosmic Eclipse, most expensive card in the set, $194. Again, you look over the past 3 months, you know, it's dropped by about $5. Not really much. We go back over the past year, there we go. So we're starting to see, you know, it came in and it was on the climb, and it was on the climb, it was on the climb, and it reached 230, quite similar to the Arceus alt art, and then it's dropped. So if you bought it at 230, you know, you're going to lose about $40 already. I mean, it's still, well, I would say it's still higher than it was a year ago, but pretty much no. It's pretty much exactly where it was. So, yeah, you've got to be careful, especially with Cosmic Eclipse as well. We'll get through the other sets as well that do contain alt arts and then the big chase cards. And this is what I'm saying, you know, we're seeing like the Gengar and the Giratina and stuff going absolutely crazy. You've got to be a little bit careful. We'll just look at some more. So we've got the Lily's Full Force from Cosmic Eclipse. We're looking at $151 for this card. Over the past 3 months, we've already started to see it fall from 170. So this one's already fallen. Over the past year, okay, it hasn't dropped as much, but, you know, it did climb from 120 up to 180. And then now it's starting to fall. So it still is higher on the year compared to some of the others, but it is trending downwards. Whether or not it will go back to where it was, we'll have to wait and see, but yeah, it's not looking good really. And then we're going to look at the Solgaleo and the Lunala. I really like this card from Cosmic Eclipse. Alt art coming in, $120. This one's actually doing okay. Over the last 3 months, even though it's dropped, it's still doing reasonably good. Over the past year, it is falling. You know, we're looking at 160, went all the way up to 190, and it's now 120. So you would have lost about $70 if you've picked it up at its highest point. You know, and the thing is they went up pretty quickly, but some of them, it was over a few months, right, to get to where they are. The scary thing is with the Sword and Shield is we're seeing cards way higher than this. Way higher than this highest point, right? We're looking at $300 plus for a lot of these cards. So this one was like 190 and has fallen. All right, moving across to Unified Minds, we have the Misty's Favor. So over the past 3 months, this one's actually been going up. This is the most expensive card in the set. So Misty's doing pretty well. So this one's actually bounced back pretty well, you know, compared to what we saw, of course, from Cosmic. In Unified Minds, this Misty's going for 180, dropped to as low as 160, and it's bounced up higher, actually, than its highest point a year ago. So this one's actually doing reasonably well. This could be an example of what could happen to some of the other cards from some of the other sets, but Misty's doing really well, and we're unexpected to continue to do well. That's interesting to see that this one actually kind of fought back against the hype. We've got the Raichu and the Alone Raichu next from Unified Minds. Alt art coming in, $130. So over the past 3 months, this card's actually doing really well, right? 117, and is now gone up to 130. So this one's actually on the climb. We go back over the past year. If you look, you're like, wow, yeah, that actually, you know what? Look, Jace, this is actually doing really well. Look at this over the last 3 months. You know, it's gone from like 117 to 130. Yeah, and then I've gone back a year, and I'm like, oh. So yeah, it did actually reach 190, nearly $200, and it dropped to as low as 116. Holy smokes, you would have lost like $70, $80 on this card, and even then, even with the bounce back, you still lost $60. Will this go back up there? It might do. It might take a long time. But yeah, wow, this one is really fighting for survival here. Then we got the Mega Sableye and my boy T-Tar coming in. I actually had this graded. I actually bought this raw for £35. I bought it raw for 35, and then I got it graded, and it got a PSA 9. And a PSA 9 is like $60, 65 maybe, 70 a push, right? And that's how much I sold it for. And the 9 is not worth anything, really. However, this then went boom, right? Last year it went crazy, and we'll get into this. But yeah, bear in mind, I bought it for 35 in 2021. No, 2022. In 2022, I bought it for 35. So now it's 121. And we go back over the past year, so it's already starting to fall a little bit. We go over the past year. Yeah, this card was $180. So when I bought it at 35, I was over the moon, right? I was like, yes. But then I'm thinking, hang on a minute. It went crazy. I sold it, and this was before the boom happened. I was like, well, guys. I was like, no. It's now falling. You know, we're looking at a card that's a big money card, and it's dropped like $50+. You know, will it go back to that 35 I bought it? Probably not. I doubt it. I think it will probably stay above 100. But yeah, it's just the way it goes. You gotta be careful with these cards, though. You really gotta be careful. But yeah, it's just the way it is. On to Unbroken Bonds, another great set. Big old art coming in here. Biggest card of the set, Gardevoir Sylveon GX art. $187 over the past 3 months. This card has fought back a little bit. It's gained like $15 or so over the past year. However, it is still trying to get back to where it was, and this is where you got to be careful. This was a big money card. $240 did drop to $170, so you lost about $70 or so for this card, which is again a big chunk. We're seeing pretty much the same amount of money loss. A lot of these cards, but it is starting to trickle back up. Will it get back up to big highs of 240? Who knows? It's had a big boom last year. Hey, look, I expect this card to hold quite well, maybe get back up to the $200 mark, but I think 240 might be a bit of a push. Might take some time, but it has fallen, but it is on the uptick. Then we've got the Greninja and the Zoroark GX alt art from Unbroken Bonds, $95. This one didn't go anywhere near as high as some of the others. Over the past year, this one's been pretty steady, so this one hasn't really gone crazy. This has been one of the ones which has normal growth, normal pricing, to be fair, compared to some of the other crazy ones we've seen. But still, $95 though is not bad for an alt art. Right, we're going to the waifu cards. The Lissa full art from Celestial Storm, $272. It's trickling up a little bit over the past 3 months. $100 here and there. Over the past year, it did reach as high as $290, so it's done quite well. It did actually drop $250, so it did drop around about $40 to $50, and is now slowly trickling up. So Celestial Storm is a really expensive booster box. This is like the only card worth pulling, really, and it is doing pretty well. So this one's actually kind of the Misty's favor, is bouncing back. So the waifus are bouncing back, but the alt arts are trying to get their prices back up to where they were, but they are struggling, which that's actually quite interesting. Then we have the Lily full art from Ultra Prism, the most expensive trainer card going, $380. Over the past 3 months, this card has dropped from $440 to $380 in 3 months. Oh, go back over the past year. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. $380 from $521. Would you imagine if you bought that at $500? That's like a giant slap in the face. This is an example of when I talked about you got to be careful with some of these big old arts from Sword and Shield, right? We're seeing unheard of raw card prices for modern era cards. Giratina, like $400. Rayquaza over $400. You got the Gengar and the Blaziken, which are nearly $400. It's crazy, right? It's absolutely crazy. Take the Giratina, right? That card is 2 years old. But yeah, the Lily is an example of what could happen when hype dies down. And this is an example. This card is less than it was a year ago. And it has fallen, what, $140? $140 since October. It hasn't even been a year. It's been like, what, maybe 9 months? So in 9 months, it has fallen. And it's continuing to fall. I mean, over the past 3 months, as we saw, you know, even over the past month, this card in the past month has dropped $20. Over the past 3 months, this card has dropped, what, $50, $60? This card, if it keeps going, could be $300. Could be less. That's insane. Alright, we're going to look at Team Up. Last one we're going to look at today. Team Up. Look, the Latias GX. One of my all-time favourite chase cards. Still don't have it, but I want it one day. One day. There was a lot of talk with, you know, Team Up. Team Up went crazy. You know, Sun and Moon went crazy. And it was all the talk was about Team Up. All of the talk was about Team Up. Now let's take a look. This card's $790. This was more than the Moonbryon. Moonbryon has not only surpassed this, but it's absolutely crushed this poor card. So we go back a year. It's holding pretty well. I think Team Up might... We'll see the others, but I think Team Up might be the only exception compared to some of the other cards we looked at today, because there was so little supply, and that might help it. So we're looking at 790, you know, still up a year from its 620 price tag. So this card is still doing very well, even though the Moonbryon has now surpassed it by like $150, which is crazy. But yeah, this card is still a very, very good one. So yeah, it's doing very well. We've got the Gengar and Mimikyu GX Alt Art from Team Up. It's crazy to think that the Gengar from Fusion Strike is worth more than this. It's so weird. So this is $290 over the past 3 months. This card's actually doing really well. It's gained like $30 in the last 3 months. Over the past year. So yeah, this might not follow the trend then of Team Up compared to the last card we looked at. So it was $350? And then it went all the way down to $260. So it dropped $90 in value. And then it's slowly trickling back up. So I'll give you an example. The Gengar from Fusion Strike is worth more than the highest point of this card of $350. Could the Gengar, the more and more we move away from Sword and Shield, let's say we're going to 2025, okay, and beyond, so a year later from now, will the Gengar drop $100 in value? Let's say it continues to climb, and it gets to like 400, 450. And then it drops down to 300. Now you could be saying to me, yeah, but Jay, it's still a $300 card. Insane. Yeah, but the price is 400. Yeah. So you gotta be careful. You really, really gotta be careful. We've got the Magikarp and Wailord, another art from Team Up. Take a look at this one. So 254, so it's kind of not really doing much over the past 3 months. Yeah, this one's fallen as well. Nowhere near as much as the others, but it has fallen. So it's fallen around about $50 and is now on the uptick. So this one's doing okay. It did fall though. That's one thing I will say. But yeah, it was a big hype. You know, anything around Team Up is big hype. But again, another one that's kind of taken a hit from the hype and kind of died out. But it is on the uptick a little bit. This is like the natural growth I expect. But yeah, pretty crazy. There you have it, guys. That's what's been going on with the alt arts and the waifu cards in Sun and Moon. If history is going to repeat itself, which it tends to do, then we might see a lot of these Sword and Shield alt arts crashing in 2025 and beyond. Now, I will say that I don't expect them to fall really cheap, as we saw with the Sun and Moon. A lot of the Sun and Moon era cards are still up on they were a year ago. Right? Even though they have fallen, they are still up on where they were 12 months ago. But it's where, at what point do you buy in? Right? If you really want these cards, is it worth paying that much money at that such high price point to pick up some of these cards? It might be. It might be. But you can't guarantee it. I do feel, especially in Sword and Shield, right? Because a lot of the sets were printed quite a bit. They weren't short print-ins or anything like that, like Team Up. Everything was printed quite a bit. I mean, you look at how many PSA 10 Moonbryons are. Crazy. So it's interesting to see what happened in Sun and Moon. There was a big boom last year. Things are settling. Got to be careful. If you made this far to the video, guys, and you enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments regarding the Sword and Shield arts. Do you think they will face a similar fate moving forward when we go into 2025 and the more and more into the Scarlet and Violet era we're in? Or do you feel like they'll hold and continue to climb? We'll have to wait and see. I do feel like they will continue to climb for the rest of this year. And then I do feel like going into 2025 and then onwards, maybe even 2026, when we go into the next generation, I'm going to be at that point in 2026, then you could be seeing a lot of these prices fall and people kind of getting stung a little bit. So definitely high risk, but approach it with caution. If you know what's going on in the single card market right now, then make sure to click the video on the screen. And if you watch more Pokemon content, guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Alright guys, that's it from me in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, you guys are legends, and I'll see you all in the next one.